Hi there. Today we are making dal, which is one of our favorite foods to eat. There are different kinds of dal. All dal really is a split pea, split lentil mush. We've had dal that is as liquidy as soup. We've also had dal that's like mashed potatoes. It's
Thick
so
enough to
thick.
stop a bullet.
So, but the basic premise of dal, or the basic technique for dal, is that you're mixing split peas of any sort, split lentils. This is channa dal. Dal just means lentil. So this is made from, you probably had channa masala, which is chickpea, right? So channa dal is the split version of the chickpea. So we're mixing that. You can do a mixture of different lentils here if you want. You can use urad dal, channa dal, the red ones, you name it. And if you go to an Indian shop, you'll see all sorts of different kinds of dal there. So today we're just using channa dal, the one kind, with water and a little bit of turmeric, and we're going to cook that up, and then we're going to show you how to temper. And temper is really important for the flavor in dal, because dal itself doesn't have a heck of a lot of, it's got an earthy, lentil-y flavor, but it's the spices and the fat that you use that really, really makes dal. And for me, dal it takes a little bit of time to make. It can 45 minutes to an hour to make.
It's really simple.
But it takes very little hands-on time. And one of the things that I like the best about it is that it makes great leftovers. So you can eat it at room temperature, it heats up well, whatever you like. It tends to get thicker after it's been in the fridge, but you can, it makes great leftovers, and so it's a really good thing. Once you've made it once, you can make a big batch if you want, keep it in the fridge and eat it all week. We're making a relatively small batch this time. And we're gonna do a more southern Indian version using coconut oil instead of ghee, but you can use either. So let's take our chana dal and go rinse it, because we've seen how dal is dried in India. So it's laid out on big plastic sheets or tarps, and it's all laid out to dry in the sun, which is awesome. But what you may not know is that dogs and cats and goats and things are walking all over it. So
best rinse it now.
it's a good idea to rinse.
I was going to say, it's so simple that if you've got a pulse, you can make dal.
Oh, dal pulse.
Oh.
So it's funny, English has a lot of words that kind of mean the same thing. Pulses and lentils and beans, and see how cloudy that water is? Okay, so we're just...
That's goat related, perhaps.
Not necessarily. It's generally a good idea with beans and lentils.
There's also small stones in there.
To rinse them. Yes, you can keep an eye out for small stones. The nice thing about channa is because it's yellow, or yellowish, you can usually see if there are any little stones in there. And I'm not...
Looking good.
Oh, there's something dark.
If you're in doubt,
Actually, you know what? It's just a bit of channa. On one side you can see it's yellow, but I'm going to chuck it out because I don't know why it's dark brown on the other side.
Goats.
I don't think that's goat related. So I'm just going to keep rinsing that till the water looks clear. A lot of cultures also do this with their rice. That can be both a cleaning thing and depending on which country it is, getting rid of some starch as well. Making one more time. And see, the water's a lot more clear now.
Mm-hmm.
So try to drain most of that off. You don't have to be too worried about, oh my God, did I get every last tiny bit? Because the next thing we're doing is adding water. So we're going to add 2.5 cups of water. All the measurements, the amounts will be down below in the box. We're also going to add, this is a rounded half teaspoon of turmeric. And we're going to throw that in there. For flavor, for color, for health. Give that a stir. We're going to bring the pot up to a boil at first. Then when it's boiling, we're going to put it down to a simmer And then we're gonna put the lid on, not all the way like this, because you're gonna have boil over happen, that's bad, but part way on. And the reason for that is you do want some of the moisture to evaporate out. You don't want it spitting all over the place, which it will do as it gets thicker. So the sort of halfway off thing allows you to have some of that water evaporate off without a whole mess. Okay, so we'll come back in a little bit and we'll show you what we're doing. Hi there, we're back. It's been about 35 minutes and I just wanted to show you, I took the lid off. Remember, the lid was partially on. See how little water is left? So I think we're gonna have to add a little bit more water, but I'm also taking this opportunity to smoosh.
That's a technical term.
Yes, it is. Smush the dal up against the side. You can use a wooden spoon. I'm using a silicone spatula here, whatever works for you. I suppose you could use a potato masher if you wanted to.
Wooden spoon's the best.
But, so I've just done a bit of that, but I'm gonna add a bit of water because I'm concerned. I think I can tell that the dal is not soft enough yet. And there's only a small amount of water there and I don't want it to burn. So this is why you check. Now this is the second time I've checked. The first time I looked at it, it's like, yeah, this is all good. I don't need to do anything here. But this time I went, you know, not enough water. So I'm just gonna add a bit of water to that. And now you can see that it's, there's a layer of water sitting over it.
Good for 10 more minutes.
Easily. So I'm just going to put that lid partially back on again, and we'll come back in a little bit and have a look at it and smush it again. So it's been about 50 minutes since we started, and you can have a look here, and I've been smushing this, and it's getting, I'm going to turn it off because that's getting pretty hot. Just smushing it up against the sides like that to get it. You're not looking for perfectly smooth.
Because the texture is nice.
The texture is nice. And tasted it, and it is cooked. Really needs salt, but that was on purpose. We're adding the salt later. So, the next thing that we need to do is we need to temper. So what is tempering? Tempering is when you take a fat, that can be ghee in northern India. It's usually coconut oil in southern India. If you don't have ghee, you can use butter, but I would recommend, because butter has a much lower smoking point, meaning it's going to burn on you, mix your butter with a neutral vegetable oil like sunflower oil or canola or whatever it is you have around your house that's pretty neutral.
Not olive oil.
Not olive oil, wrong flavor. But both coconut oil and ghee is butter that has had the milk solids removed from it, also very similar to clarified butter. So it has a higher smoke point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat up the coconut oil, get it going pretty hot. It'll melt, of course, but it'll also get very hot.
It's about a tablespoon and a half.
That's what it was, that's correct. And then we're going to add, these are brown mustard seeds. There's another kind of mustard seed that's yellow. We're not using that here. Then in here we have some fennel, dried chilies, fenugreek. This is the seed, not the leaf. The leaf goes by the name methi. This is the seed. And this powder there is not turmeric. We already put turmeric in when we were cooking. That is either called hing or asafoetida. And it's got a kind of funky smell with a sharp, sour. It's got a bit of a sour thing, but a funky smell. It's kind of hard to explain. There's nothing else like hing. Hing is supposed to be really good. I mean, it adds flavor, obviously. Wouldn't want to eat it on its own, but you notice if it's missing in something like this. But it's also supposed to be good for digestion, especially if you're eating a lot of legumes.
Control of flatulence.
Yes.
Yeah, we put that shit on everything.
Yeah. Anyway, and then this is 2 fairly small, small to medium garlic cloves, peeled and chopped, and then some salt. So we're going to get into the tempering. And I just turned off the dal and I'm letting it sit there. You can just leave it alone for the time being. Get your pan pretty hot. And I'm just going to give this a quick rinse. And I'm going to scoop the coconut oil in there. Like I said, same thing. You would do the exact same thing if you were using ghee or half butter, half neutral veg oil. Now we have this handy little pot that we brought back from India that's for tempering. You don't need to have that. You use whatever you have. You can use a frying pan, a saucepan. It really doesn't matter.
There it goes.
It is. It's starting to melt.
The drama. I scarcely contain myself.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, right? So once we get it up to a good temperature and the oil is all melted, we're going to put the mustard seed in. And the ladies we knew in India would put the seed in and then you sit and you wait for them to pop. That's important. You don't want anything burning because it'll taste bitter, but you do need to have a bit of a sizzle and a pop. So our coconut oil is now all melted in there. Let's see. Yep. Okay, I'm going to put those in. And you can see the bubbles start.
Especially if there's water on this batch.
Yeah, there is a little bit of water, you're right. Bad on me. And unfortunately now it's very hard to see. Okay, I am starting to see, first of all, that our coconut oil is smoking.
Good.
So I'm going to add all these spices and give them a little swirl around.
I'm going to move over here so you can see the majestic tempering.
The smell coming off of that is amazing, and that's kind of what you're going for here, is making sure that you've got this smell, but you're not burning anything, okay? So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour all of this, the oil and the spices, into the dal and give it a stir. You can finish the dish like right before. What happens a lot is that you'll have someone just put the tempering on right before they bring the dish to the table. But we're not doing that this time because I don't want to add the garlic to that hot oil because I don't want it to burn.
Ooh, that's the magic right there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir. And I'm going to add the garlic. And a bit of salt. You can always add more salt.
There it is.
And that
Taste test.
is one version of dal. Okay. I think I got my coconut oil a little too hot. So some of the seeds in there are crunchier than I would like. Not the end of the world. It still tastes amazing. And like I said, dal makes great leftovers, so you can make up a bigger pot of it if you like. Just be careful with your tempering. Unlike me, you saw that the coconut oil was starting to smoke, right? I pulled it off the heat when it did that. I probably should have pulled it off a little bit before. You do want it to be hot, absolutely, but you don't want it to get to the point where all of your spices are starting to burn. These ones aren't burned, but they're on the edge of being slightly more done than I would like. So, you know what? Not the end of the world. When you're making real food, sometimes that happens. And this doesn't need to be thrown out. It's still really tasty, okay? So you'll learn as you go along what's the right time, what's the right temperature, how long to do this for, how long to do that for. But that's your dal basic recipe, and you can change it up by changing the spices that you put in there, changing the fats, whether it's coconut or ghee. You do whatever you like for your dal, and you can also use different lentils. So it's very flexible. We'll see you next time on Real Food.